Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. Let's go ahead and get into our February 26th, just for today, in a meditation. The title of the meditation is Remorse. The eighth step offers a big change from a life dominated by guilt and remorse. That comes from our basic text, page 38. Remorse was one of the feelings that kept us using. We had stumbled our way through active addiction, leaving a trail of heartbreak and devastation too painful to consider. Our remorse was often intensified by our perception that we couldn't do anything about the damage we had caused. There was no way to make it right. We remove some of the power of remorse when we face it squarely. We begin the eighth step by actually making a list of all the people we have harmed. We own our part in our painful past. But the eighth step does not ask us to make right all of our mistakes, merely to become willing to make amends to all those people. As we become willing to clean up the damage we've caused, we acknowledge our readiness to change. We affirm the healing process of recovery. Remorse is no longer an instrument we use to torture ourselves. Remorse has become a tool we can use to achieve self-forgiveness. Just for today, I will use my feelings of remorse I may have as a stepping stone to healing through the 12 steps. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Please and thank you. So we're talking about remorse today and the difference between what remorse meant to us or how it displayed itself when we were in active addiction compared to today. And we have the eighth step, right? We have the eighth step there helping us to sort through the confusion of the past, to sort through, right, the people that we actually owe amends to versus those that we don't. We didn't have that before we got to recovery. This is one of those tools that we've gained. And we can deal with remorse differently. We simply make a list of all the people that we've harmed, right? In the eighth step, we're not making amends to them directly at this point. We became willing to make direct amends, right? So all we're doing here is making a list. That's not very hard to do at all. It's nothing like when we were using and we had a list in our heads that was never ending. I would think about some of the people that I had hurt and while I was using, right? I'm talking about active addiction. Knowing that I needed to make it right, but because I was so overwhelmed with how many incidents occurred as a direct result of my irresponsibility, I was like, there's no way I can do all of that. Let me use some more. Let me just stay high and maybe it'll go away. It's not going to go away. If anything, some of the people I owe may actually pass away before I get to the point of making an amends with them or putting them on the list. If anything, the situation might go away is my point, but not because I dealt with it, because someone died. They're no longer around. And that doesn't mean that the amends, the need for it, goes away. I'm still tasked with the need to be able to do something about that after getting clean, whether they're alive or not. It may not be direct, but they go on the list. And I think that's what people struggle with. I know it's what I struggled with. You know, I have some people that are on the list for the rest of my life. So I want to say to you, if you're struggling with that, just put them on the list. If you're new to the program and you're hearing this meditation today, more than likely, you can relate to the first part of it, right? We left a trail of heartbreak and devastation too painful to even consider. Let me just keep getting high. But now you have stopped. And with some clean time and with some recovery, a sponsor, and working the 12 steps with your sponsor, at some point in time, you will get to the 8th step. It's not today. I do not recommend running out and saying a bunch of I'm sorry's and trying to pay bills back and stuff like that. And, you know, there's some bills, absolutely. You know, when you start getting clean, I can imagine one bill might be an electricity bill. You know, you probably have something in your name that you're going to have to pay and make direct amends for, right? So these institutions can actually go on the list as well. In order for you to be able to get a place and have something in your own name, you're going to make restitution with some of these places. That's just common sense. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about that heavy stuff. Bills were heavy for me, but I'm just talking about that heavy stuff that causes us to cringe and we say, no, not today. I'm just going to keep getting high. That stuff is still there after you get clean. And I'm talking about that stuff. Newcomer, I'm talking about that stuff. And I want to say to you that you will get to it if you work these steps in order, because they're in order for a reason. You will be prepared to make that list, having completed 1 through 7. You will be prepared to make that list. That's all that is asking, is to make a list. And I know you can do that. Many of us make grocery lists all the time. We can list the people that we've harmed, right? And become willing to make direct amends to them. We can do that. We can do that. That's not difficult. And your sponsor would be the individual that can help you. If you're questioning, I feel like this, if you're questioning whether or not someone belongs on the list, just put them on the list. Because you know why? I was an individual that spent so much time in my head analyzing everything. I remember my aunt saying to me one time, she said, girl, you analyze everything. You overanalyze everything. And unless the end result, right, the end game is something positive or that you feel you can handle, you won't make a budge or a move. You become paralyzed by fear. You don't need to do that. You do not need to do that with this step 8. We're talking about remorse and looking at it in a different way. See, with clear eyes, with a clean spirit, right? A clean body, mind, body, and spirit, right? Being clean affords you an opportunity to make an accurate list. Now, if you were like me, hell on wheels, I had other people that I had to add after I got to recovery. But if you're not like that, you may have a few as you go along the way. But if you're not like that, you will have a clear-cut list that you can operate from. And some of them will actually be the type that I would call living amends when you get to step 9. But you have an accurate list that probably 9 times out of 10 will not change unless you remember something, right? If something has been suppressed or repressed and it comes back to you, then add them to the list. In that sense, your 8-step list might grow, but this ideal that we need to fear it. We don't need to do that today. We're clean people today. We're in recovery today. And we're not operating out of guilt and shame. You may still be about some things, but the spirit of guilt and shame and remorse is not our daily mode of operation, right? It's not my daily MOD. It's not, because things have changed. I'm in recovery today. I'm on my right mind today, and so are you. You can do this, right? The only waiver I will put on there is that it's important to do the steps in order, because when you get to the 8th step and you start making a list, 9 times out of 10, by having your character defects revealed to you in step 6, right? And in step 7 now, you're able to really, truly understand where those character defects cause you to come up short. You may actually have more people as a result of that. Like, I'm trying to think of something that in the streets we would say, oh, that's a good thing to have, right? Okay, so someone can be streetwise, but being streetwise sometimes means that you're very confrontational, or you could be non-confrontational, right? Whatever way you operated to get what you wanted. Make sure the end game was what you wanted, which was probably more sex and drugs, right? Now, you can get to a stage where you think that those were just survival instincts, and that's good. I am resourceful, right? I am a resourceful individual, and I know how to work a room, in other words, right? You may actually think that's all positive until you start thinking about all the people you had to step over and dog and treat a certain way, demean, shame, right? How many people you had to mute in order to get to what you wanted. Now that changes things. And now it's no longer just that you're resourceful and streetwise. No, no. It's more that you manipulate the heck out of things and people to get what you want. And there was some injury that was caused. So that awareness of your character defects, right, in step 6, and your shortcomings in step 7, now prep you to be able to make a more thorough step 8. And that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for the most thorough, step 8 that we can possibly have. And this allows you to do this. Today, we have a big change as a result of step 8 being in our lives. And it offers us the opportunity to live free from being dominated by guilt and remorse. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.